In a dilapidated stone chamber, three strangers exchange wary glances. Malmont grips his sword, while the old blacksmith and young Grit look around in bewilderment, realizing they have no memory of how they arrived in this desolate ruin. Panic ripples through the group. Jenna, a red-haired ranger, scans the area with trembling vigilance. In the corner, Han Seojin lowers his gaze, coolly claiming to be a simple farmer while silently analyzing every detail. Standing on a high platform, the group looks down upon an endless expanse of ruins. Fear spreads like wildfire as whispers of cruel magical experiments echo through the dead air, their desperate questions met only by silence. Just as the argument heats up, a blinding pink light cuts through the darkness. Isel, a fairy with beast ears and wings, descends with a mocking smile, announcing that the master is opening a rift and demanding they prepare for battle. Floating against a starry backdrop, Isel dismisses their fury and accusations of kidnapping with cold arrogance. She warns them to fall in line, their angry roars rendering futile against her absolute authority. Stress ignites internal conflict as Malmont draws his sword, attempting to extract information through violence. Facing the sharp blade, the long-haired woman simply offers a cold sneer, her eyes flashing with a disdain that transcends the fear of death. Without warning, slaughter erupts. Malmont swings his blade coldly, sending blood spraying. As the system's icy notification chimes, a living soul is instantly reduced to a return to the goddess statistic on the blood-stained floor. The scent of death shatters the survivors' minds, driving some to madness under the immense pressure. Standing amidst the blood, the red-eyed woman curves her lips into a cruel smile, coldly warning that this is the price for daring to provoke her. Amidst horrified gazes, this brutal scene is revealed as a twisted selection. With a sly glint in her eyes, the woman casually dictates the rules: obey, fight, win. A system window pops up, forcibly organizing them into a party. The master has finally begun. Isel laughs maniacally, looking skyward. She spreads her arms as the space behind her twists and tears, a massive rift opening with a deafening roar, leading straight into the unknown. Facing the terrifying rift swirling with blue electricity, the first 5 chosen sacrifices are paralyzed with fear. Yet, under Isel's undeniable threat of death, they tremble and step forward, forced toward the gate that promises to swallow them whole. Han Seojin rushes forward, intercepting Isel, who watches like it's a game. Pointing at his unarmed teammates, he furiously demands to know if this is a suicide mission, his eyes burning with a last stand against these absurd rules. Jenna is roughly grabbed and shoved forward, shock plastered on her face. Han Seojin coldly scans the data on his retina. These so-called heroes have pitiful level 1 stats. Without equipment, they are less than insects in this world. A massive interface materializes in the void. Amid suffocating anticipation, the master begins the equipment gotcha. Yet, what pops up is a string of scrap metal rank rusted swords, shoddy bows. This is all they have to survive. Sharp-witted Jenna senses something off about Han and whispers an interrogation. Han offers no explanation, staring into the void with hollow eyes, and coldly interrupts her. Grab a weapon if you don't want to die. The gates of hell are opening. With the cry of battle start, survival instinct overrides reason. The crowd swarms like beasts, frantically scrambling for the scattered, shoddy weapons, the only fragile straws they can clutch to save their lives. Before they can even get used to the weight in their hands, blue electricity explodes in the air. Isel ruthlessly herds the hesitating sheep, shoving some forcefully toward the crackling portal, their screams instantly swallowed by the current. Why do we need weapons? Just as the rookie clutching the wooden shield asks in a trembling voice, brutal reality delivers the answer. The system notification chimes abruptly. His name turns into a gray death listing, his life extinguished in an instant. Bad news piles up as death notifications spam the air like a glitch. Kelkard Ranto, the first squad is wiped out in seconds. Watching the tragic finale, Han Seojin grips his sword, a bitter, cold sneer forming on his lips. This is the fate of a 1-star hero. Now it's our turn. Facing the gruesome death of the first squad, Han Seojin walks expressionlessly toward the portal. behind him, some feign illness and beg for mercy. But in this cold-blooded game world, cowardice only accelerates the arrival of death. Panic spreads like a plague through the team, the old man's wails piercing the silence until instantly crushed by Han's icy command. Still reeling from the spatial tear, the group looks up to see a magnificent yet ruined temple looming over them, radiating a suffocating pressure. Cold text declares the cruel rules climb the tower. Save the world. Han's eyes harden as he swings his sword, roaring to wake his frozen teammates. The battle erupts instantly. Blinding light explodes with a deafening roar, the massive shockwave knocking the blond boy violently to the ground. Before the smoke clears or the group can catch their breath, the ruthless system prompt and a grotesque goblin figure push their despair to its peak. Monsters dive from above. Han roars fight or die through gritted teeth, but fear has already frozen Jenna, her stats plummeting off a cliff. Fear erupts in waves as an invisible shockwave slams them against the wall like ragdolls. Amidst groans of pain, their escape route is completely sealed. Han offers only cold mockery to his companion's hysterical struggle. Jenna looks at him through tears, desperately seeking a sliver of hope in this damn dead end. Under a blood-red sunset, Han swiftly devises a tactic, ordering Jenna to ignore the useless dead weight and betting everything on this trembling yet sole archer. The beast horde surges like a tide. Han grips the unfamiliar sword and shield, a crazy smirk of self-mockery appearing as death closes in. Facing fire and claws, he is no longer the top player but Han Seojin hanging by a thread, going all in on this deadly game of luck. The beast's claws descend with a shrieking tear through the air. In that moment, the world is reduced to nothing but devastating despair and pain. The battle line collapses as Jenna falls in defeat. Meanwhile, deep beneath the earth, an ancient and eerie abyss quietly awakens. Eerie blue light pulses in the darkness like a demon's breath, silently waiting for the arrival of the next sacrifice. The view shifts back to reality, the phone screen flashing the familiar yet cold game loading bar target, floor 100. Transcendental Advent Dungeon? A new event notification pops up. Words that usually exist only as data now exude a strange temptation and unease. In the dim room, Loki stares intensely at the screen. For a player with terrible luck, the chance to get a 7-star item is bait he cannot refuse. Death means no revival. Facing the brutal penalty mechanism, he makes a cold decision: send in the expendable cannon fodder to scout the path. The scout team instantly falls into mass panic. While he questions the data anomaly, an impossible number slams into his vision level 999. The screen is filled with glitches and a bright red defeat. Looking at the wiped out roster, he finds it absurd, dismissively attributing it to a nasty system bug. Before he can grasp the boss's patterns, darkness consumes everything. Amidst crimson data streams, a massive hand points from the void, and terrifying red eyes lock onto him. I found you. Vision plunges into darkness, with only eerie red rain falling in the digital void. Senses stripped away, and before he can process the chaos, a cold system interface emerges, creating a count. Name? Before he can type, the system generates a random tag in. He tries to reject this absurdity, but his paralyzed body can only watch as the confirm button glows. Welcome to the world of Pick Me Up. With a piercing boom, his consciousness is dragged into the abyss. Pupils dilate as searing power explodes within. Ready or not, the cruel reality has arrived. Opening his eyes, he sees only fire and ruins. The heavy sword in his hand, the acrid smell of burning, it's suffocatingly real. He is no longer Loki, but the boy Han Island, swept into war. Hypocritical calls to save the world echo amidst a living hell. He grips the broken stone wall, the rough texture grounding him. Taking a deep breath, his gaze shifts from confusion to resolve. He must survive. No time to breathe before a glowing quest box pops up. Defeat goblins. Simultaneously, a hideous green monster leaps from the ruins. In that moment, game data becomes a lethal reality. I could actually die. Seeing the bloodshot eyes and the whistling blade, a chill shoots down his spine. This isn't a mouse-click game. It's a bloody struggle. He forces down the fear, for hesitation means death. Clang. The metal impact numbs his hands. The damned system has hijacked his body, engaging auto combat. Forced to swing the sword like a marionette, he feels the searing pain of every collision. The sensation of the blade slicing flesh rips a wretched scream from his throat. His brain, unable to process the visceral reality of killing, teeters on collapse. Ironically, a cold level-up notification pops up on his retina. The battle ends, leaving him bloodied and gasping on the grass. Is this hell or a game? Looking up, a wave of eerie familiarity washes over him as he sees the magnificent structure floating in the twilight. Before he can gather his thoughts, the familiar summon interface reappears. As a former player, he instinctively walks toward the glowing gate, even as his mind screams, "What the hell is happening?" Gold light explodes. Amidst divine particle effects, a fully armored female knight descends from the brilliance 4-star hero Shay. Witnessing this absurd gotcha moment, Han Seojin breaks into a sweat, utterly dumbfounded. "Did you summon me?" the knight asks coldly, her piercing gaze proving she's more than just data. He stammers out his name, feeling incredibly small as a 1-star trash unit before this high-ranking hero. The system ruthlessly groups them and throws them back into the dungeon. While he fumbles, Shay reaps monsters like a Valkyrie. Terrible stance. Scolded, he can only wretchedly admit it's his first time holding a sword. Battle over. Shay takes MVP without question, while he collapses like a dying dog, painfully feeling the desperate gap in stats. Yet the nightmare has just begun. The system coldly announces, "Synthesis system unlocked." I'm screwed. Hearing synthesis, Han Seojin's face goes pale. That's the mechanic that sacrifices heroes. Before he can run, maids surround him excitedly, dragging him forcefully toward the hall flickering with eerie blue light. In this life-or-death moment, the spatial guide Isel appears. When Han Seojin blurts out her name, the arrogant little pixie freezes. "How do you know my name? Wait, aren't you the hero Islet? Why do you look different from the photo? And an earthling?" Isel stares wide-eyed at this incorrect hero. Han Seojin, in no mood to explain, cuts her off coldly. "Send me back. Now." Faced with this absurd bug, neither can convince the other. Finally, Isel snaps and buries a heavy punch in Han Seojin's gut. "Enough talk, just get in there." With a scream, he is physically forced toward the fateful synthesis table. Desperate screams are drowned out by cold commands. Han fights against the deathly blue field, but Shay shows no mercy, shoving him forcefully into the abyss of unknown destruction. Energy tears through his body, pain twisting his features. He realizes with horror this is the cruel synthesis. One soul must be consumed to empower the other. Golden light bathes the high-ranking knight. The system has chosen. Han grits his teeth, heart turning to ice. In a world ruled by stats, a 1-star trash unit like him is destined for the altar. Suddenly, an impossible explosion shatters the logic. Death does not come. Instead, Han gasps, clutching his chest amidst chaotic code, staring in disbelief at his survival. Fate itself glitches. Shay, who should have ascended, begins to dissolve into pixels. Her sad, resigned smile becomes the most blinding note in this absurd error. "I leave it to you." With a final whisper, she dissolves into a rain of light. Han reaches out, trembling, grasping only heavy mysteries and the guilt of the survivor. No time to mourn. Reality drags him back with ear-piercing screams and a desert strewn with corpses. Instinctively raising his shield, Han roars at his only ally. "Focus, or you die." Claws graze his face, the chill of death waking him up. Clashing with the monster, the truth clicks: the sacrifice was just a casual drag-and-drop by a foolish player. Rage detonates. He screams at the sky, cursing the unseen master. A mindless click killed a hero, leaving only him and the redhead to gasp for air in this hell. Talk later. He suppresses the chaos, eyes focusing solely on the kill. Blood blurs his vision, but his blade is steady. Why he's here doesn't matter, surviving does. The impact sends him flying, but he refuses to fall. He is Han Seojin, the unlucky one-star hero, but he will never be a puppet on strings. Flashback to the nightmare start. He opens his eyes to the mocking laughter of a bug max-level monster, a terrifying force that dragged him into this hell, chilling him to the bone. From the darkness, crimson eyes watch. But fear has turned into fuel for vengeance. You mess with the wrong person. System or demon, there will be a reckoning. Silence falls over the sunset battlefield. Jenna looks at his trembling arm with worry, but Han turns away coldly, burying his pain and weakness deeply. Wait until we're back. He kneels in the ruins, looking up at the void like a divine eye. In this damn game, heroes are just automated data, and right now, that distant god is watching coldly through the screen. Having fun? A bitter, ironic smile twists his lips. Once, he was the player enjoying the power of life and death. Now, fate's boomerang strikes him hard. But he's no fodder. He is Loki, the former rank 6. Exhaustion is replaced by a fiery arrogance. If this is a trash game, watch me beat it. The result screen flashes, declaring the cold cost. 9 allies dead for meager loot. Only his and Jenna's names remain on the survivor list, glaringly lonely. Back at base, Han refuses to rest. He runs through the rainy night, pushing his body to the limit. Get stronger in battle, or be synthesized like trash. He refuses to die. Rain lashes against his struggling form. As a mere one-star hero, with abysmal stats, he is destined for disposal. But he grits his teeth, eyes burning with wild determination. He must survive, avenge, and return. Cold rain washes over burning muscles, every bone screaming in agony. Yet, physical strength is not enough. To avoid being devoured by this cruel world, his mind must become harder than steel. He fights his own past weakness, every strike accompanied by a roar. Suddenly, a voice cuts through the rain. Han spins around, the murderous intent still lingering in his eyes. Training to kill monsters. Got a problem? Jenna looks down at the exhausted Han, hesitating before speaking. After a night of struggle, she grips her bow, her voice soft but firm. I can't just leave. As a hunter's daughter, this bow is all I have. I won't be a burden. In her memory, that arrow pierced the monster with pure survival instinct. Facing Han's question, Jenna's lips curve into a confident smile. It was her first fight, but certainly not her last. Han's analytical eyes scan Jenna's stats. Low attributes, but the novice archer, skill is key. More importantly, he sees a reflection of himself in her eyes, a desperate hunger for survival. Father said to survive, you must follow the right person. Jenna extends her hand, her warmth piercing the cold rain. Han grasps it, their fates intertwining as a system notification chimes. Trust has been established. Before he can dwell on the system's bond bonus, Han calls out for the guide. Amidst purple smoke, Isel appears, annoyed and claiming to be busy, yet instantly responding to his summons. Climb the tower for answers. Isel refuses arrogantly. But when Han casually reads out her LV.257 tag, the system fairy completely breaks composure, clutching her head in panic as if stripped bare. Han confirms his unique perspective. The foolish master accidentally fed the precious 4-star Shay to him, a 1-star trash unit, during a synthesis error. This absurd sacrifice is now the source of his power. Time flows differently here. Han presses on, and Isel's angry outburst only confirms his theory. With a cold smile, he seizes control of the conversation. Mere data has turned the tables on the system. Facing a confused Jenna, Han reveals the grim truth. Freedom lies atop the 100th floor. On this board controlled by the Master, the only way to survive is to fight ceaselessly until they become the strongest. Just 2 of us? Han stares into the void, his voice cold. The Master will summon more cannon fodder with money. Their lives hang on a finger behind a screen, but until it taps, every choice is life or death. Days pass in a dull loop. Supplies replenish, but weapons remain scarce. Han realizes that while his stats remain static, every sword swing reshapes his muscle memory. This is the world's hidden leveling mechanic. True players have no need for cowards. Han recalls teammates crumbling in fear, his gaze hardening. In this death game, the first filter isn't strength, but the mental fortitude to stay sane in the face of despair. High-star heroes are born strong, but low stars like him must squeeze out every drop of potential to awaken skills. Han grinds his psyche under extreme pressure, until finally, the system chimes to herald the dawn of the third day. Master logged in. Han stares at the two new skills on his panel, but before he can catch his breath, the air freezes. Jenna shouts a warning. The cycle begins anew, and their unpredictable god is about to descend. Light flashes, and three bewildered rookies stumble onto the ground. Facing these confused newbies, Han shows no mercy, immediately ordering Jenna into combat stance. Explanations are useless. Only violence will make them grasp reality. A space rift tears a hideous wound across the ground, alarms piercing their eardrums. Han roars at Jenna, "Grab your weapon!" There are no spares for the rookies this round, because the last team is already dead. "Send us back!" The rookie's screams and questions echo through the space, creating chaos. Han watches these crumbling liabilities coldly, his dagger glinting. If they can't be reasoned with, he won't hesitate to be ruthless. With a violent crash, the three new heroes collapse, groaning in agony. Icel's figure flickers into existence with glitchy pixelation, wearing a mischievous smile as she drops a light-hearted "Have fun," leaving the confused players in deep despair. In a flash, a purple vortex drags everyone into a new battlefield level 2. The cold system prompt hangs overhead. Conquest, kill all enemies. Before they can react, alarms blare, leaving the blonde man looking around in sheer panic. Fear instantly spreads through the team, triggering a ruthless system penalty. Fear state, slashing their stats. From the tall grass, crimson eyes glow as a horde of goblins and prairie wolves lunges forward with bloodthirsty roars, leaving the rookies screaming in helpless terror. Cold sweat drips down Jenna's face, verging on collapse, until Han Seogen's calm voice pierces the chaos like a needle. "Stop whining and take 2 goblins!" His undeniable command snaps her back to reality, clearing her fear status, as he turns alone to face the more dangerous wolves. Glancing at the screaming rookies behind him, Han feels a chill of disdain. Useless. Through the rain, the wolf pack bares its fangs and strikes. His eyes sharpen as he raises his shield, blocking with precision. A heavy thud echoes as a massive wolf is knocked back, blood spraying from the impact. If there's no backup, he'll carve a bloody path himself. Han lets out a feral roar, throwing wild punches in the mud, every strike fueled by vented rage. But as he kneels in the slop, gasping for air, his gaze turns grim upon realizing the beast is still struggling. "Damn this trash weapon!" The blade is chipped, but his killing intent remains dull. Gritting his teeth, Han forces his body into a spin, the sword tracing a grim blue arc. With a gut-wrenching tearing sound, he compensates for the gear with pure skill, determined to sever all obstacles. Even covered in blood and grime, his mind races. If one hit won't kill it, then strike again. Han transforms into a blur of blue motion, diving in with lethal intent, locking onto his target. One down. Rain washes over the battlefield as Han slowly draws his sword from the darkness, water and blood dripping down the blade. His eyes, glinting coldly in the shadows, reveal a suffocating resolve. This survival game has only just begun. True death descends. A massive black wolf roars and bears down, its claws slamming against the round shield with a deafening boom. Han feels his bones rattling, but he braces hard, standing like a stubborn rock in the torrential rain, refusing to yield an inch. The immense impact nearly suffocates him, forcing a groan of pain from his lips. Rain blurs his vision, but the instinct to survive ignites his limit, allowing him to withstand the monster's lethal combo under crushing despair. Suddenly, the pressure vanishes. Han looks around in bewilderment, seeing the once ferocious goblins now lying as cold corpses, each pierced precisely by arrows. He snaps his head back, a flicker of surprise in his eyes. It's Jenna. She's still mechanically drawing her bow until Han grabs her shoulder and snaps. Enough, it's dead. Only then does she wake from her trance, staring at the enemy riddled with arrows, her taut nerves snapping as tears burst forth. As the last monster falls, the sweet sound of the system chime finally rings out. Stage clear! MVP, Han Seojin. The glow of gold and materials flickers before them as the group collapses on the stone path, staring at the entrance to the next level, feeling only the relief of survival. But relief is fleeting as a ruthless prompt pops up. Proceeding to level 3. Jenna gasps in disbelief, and Han's heart sinks. No time to rest? This so-called master is driving them straight into their graves. Just in the nick of time, the system flashes. Master logged out. Han exhales a long breath, his taut nerves finally relaxing. Beside him, Isel dramatically complains of exhaustion, earning a cold glare from Han. We're the ones fighting for our lives. What are you tired for? Seizing this rare break, Han immediately reviews his stats. The time dilation means he won't be back for 3 days. Seeing his strength rise despite the drop in intelligence, a cold smirk touches his lips. It was messy, but this body is definitely getting stronger. Why do I have to fight? The wailing from afar interrupts his thoughts. Watching the useless one-star trash complain, the chill in Han's eyes deepens. He steps forward, his voice sharp as a blade. Pick up a weapon if you want to live. Only survivors earn the right to be afraid. Watching these rookies break down, Han finally grasps the system's cruel logic. 1 stars are disposables, 2 stars are mercenaries. Only heroes of 3 stars and above throw themselves into battle without hesitation. In this world, rank isn't just power, it's one's attitude in the face of death. We have to help them. Jenna desperately tries to rally the group, but Han remains unmoved. Why waste energy on trash that's destined to disappear? His cold words freeze the air instantly. In Han Seojin's calculations, the weak don't even qualify as pawns. Facing the 3 despondent rookies, Han Seojin's gaze is cold as ice. He doesn't even bother to turn back, tossing a cruel verdict to Jenna. It'll just be us in the next battle. Forget these useless trash. Patience exhausted by endless complaining, Han snaps. The air erupts with a dull thud as he punches the whining coward to the ground, his eyes filled with contempt. While we bled and fought, you bastards just sat back and watched? Violence is the only common language here. Watching the once arrogant man now trembling on the ground, Jenna smiles mockingly. Han shows no mercy. The hellish training continues straight into the next day. Day after day, Han swings his wooden sword, honing his killing skills in the monotony. The 3 desperate fools didn't even show up, searching for an exit that doesn't exist, unaware they are walking straight into a dead end. Jenna transforms into a streak of red lightning, purple aura tearing through the air with a sharp screech. This is the result of their training. Every strike carries suffocating pressure, instantly crushing the targets. Battle over, Han kneels, gritting his teeth against the searing pain. Facing Jenna's panic concern, he coldly wipes blood from his mouth. Don't worry. Don't forget, this is no longer the reality we used to know. Blue light particles dance wildly around his wounds, as the system forcibly suppresses the pain. Feeling the pain tolerance skill awaken, Han's eyes burn with a manic fire. This pain is nothing. It's proof that I'm still alive. As the skill fusion notification chimes, new combat techniques are etched into his body. The view suddenly opens up. They finally stand in the fortress plaza. A new phase begins. The existence known as Master is about to descend. The brief respite brings no peace. Clad in black, Han looks down on them like a reaper, while the 3 useless fools whining for food and home are unaware their countdown has already begun. I don't want to fight anymore. His hysterical refusal is met with a brutal, heavy blow. In this dog-eat-dog world, cowardly roaring is meaningless and only invites crueler suppression. In the gloomy underground, Han approaches like a demon, his threats echoing off the walls. The three wretches, bound and terrified, weep under the threat of death, forced to accept their cruel fate like cattle. Floor 3. Green-skinned demons charge with roaring bloodlust. Han raises his shield, a confident smirk curling his lips. He and Jinna have been reborn. These former nightmares are now mere stepping stones to prove their strength. Blood splatters. The battle ends cleanly. Looking at the corpses and the MVP screen, Jinna smiles with ease, but Han just feels bored. Battles of this level can no longer satisfy them. The three cowards in the distance get no rewards, and Han watches coldly. Suddenly, the system prompt in the sky shifts. He keenly senses something is wrong. The master behind the screen is about to make a move. Floor 1 again? Spike ground, familiar yet more dangerous monsters. The master isn't being kind. Under this golden sky, a malicious loop is grinding down everyone's nerves. Jinna cheers for another MVP, but cold sweat runs down Han's temple. Too fast. It ended too fast. He knows the gamer mindset too well. If clearing is this easy, the greedy master will never let them rest. As expected, the endless battle begins. From floor to floor, an infinite loop. Even the tough Jinna shows signs of fatigue. They are becoming playthings in the invisible hand, struggling repeatedly on the edge of life and death. Night falls. Jinna thinks they can finally rest, but Han looks at the eerie night sky, his anxiety peaking. No, it's not over yet, he murmurs. He knows that for the player, the current resources are far from enough. The ground suddenly trembles as the sealed building bursts open in a ghostly blue light. Too much free time, perfect for dealing with insects. With the system's cold declaration synthesis started, the three useless fools look in horror at the gate to hell. The cruel interface pops up in the void drag and drop heroes to sacrifice. Han watches coldly, not a shred of pity in his eyes. For these idiots, who couldn't seize their chance, death is the only destination. Goodbye, trash. From above, the circular fortress known as base reveals its full scale. The space-time rift hovers ominously, while functional zones await like gears in a machine, ready to turn the wheels of fate. Zooming in, the magnificent stone arches stand closed, radiating a solemn and oppressive aura. Han Seojin looks up, his gaze deep, recognizing this as his sliver of a chance. Just as a confident smile touches his lips, the master in the real world presses the fatal button. An abrupt summon command shatters the calm, dragging Han Seojin and Jinna toward an unknown abyss. The corridor to the synthesis chamber is dark and cold. Jinna calls out anxiously, while Elson collapses in fear. Facing the hysterical screaming, Han Seojin offers only a cold smile, a final mockery of the weak. If you don't want to die, get inside. Han Seojin's face twists with rage. The massive gates slowly creak open, like a maw ready to devour everything, extending a cruel invitation. Pain erupts instantly. Blue energy coils around him like thorns. Han Seojin screams in agony within his bindings. This is not just synthesis, but the torture of a soul being torn apart. The light fades. Jinna covers her mouth in horror. The man has vanished into particles of light. Han Seojin steps out from the shadows, his expression cold as ice. Here, the useless become sacrifices. Panic spreads under the night sky. The oppressive verdict of a high-star hero shatters the silence. Next, Han and Toby. Cold sweat instantly soaks the backs of the chosen ones. Sending me home? Really? Toby spirals into manic joy, believing this is salvation. Han Seojin watches the pitiful madman, a cruel smirk curling his lips. Go ahead, indulge in your sweet dream. A blood-curdling scream is swallowed by the thick stone walls. Toby is gone. Han Seojin walks down the steps alone, radiating a chilling composure that freezes Eren to the bone. If you become worthless, you'll end up just like them. Han Seojin closes in, his voice a devil's whisper. Jinna's pupils tremble. The shadow of death looms over her heart, terrifyingly real. Listen to me if you want to live. Leaving this cold ultimatum, Han Seojin turns away. Jinna snaps her head up, fear in her eyes replaced by a fierce will to survive. She has awakened. Having chosen this path, one must stand on the right side. The next day, under a gloomy sky, scarecrows stand silent on the training ground, as if awaiting a baptism of blood. I'll do as you say. Please protect me. Jenna rushes forward recklessly, frantic like a drowning person clutching at a straw. Han Seojin stops, a flicker of surprise in his eyes. Watching Jenna's hysteria and Aaron's shame-filled bow, Han Seojin sneers inwardly, yet this is exactly what he wanted. Fear is the best binder. Want my trust? Then bet your life on it. Han Seojin grips the wooden stick, his aura instantly turning sharp. Aaron kneels, forced to face this brutal game of trust. Amidst the ruins, Aaron tremblingly grips the spear, his only lifeline. I don't know anything, he murmurs, while Han Seojin's gaze locks onto his prey. The spear is king of mid-range, Jenna explains excitedly nearby. Wasting no words, Han Seojin snaps his spear forward, slicing the air with a sharp whistle. Don't space out. Get ready to fight. Rain pours down, mud splatters. This is how I teach. Han Seojin's attacks fall like a violent storm. Aaron scrambles in panic, screaming as every blow strikes his fragile nerves. I've only ever fought scarecrows. Aaron shrieks in terror, tears mixing with the rain. Showing no mercy, Han Seojin points his spear right between his eyes. If you want to live, don't close your eyes. Blurring motion slices through the air, each strike landing with a heavy boom. Aaron collapses to his knees, lungs heaving like bellows, while Han looks down coldly at the man pushed to his absolute limit. Facing desperate questions, Han's voice is colder than the night wind. He ruthlessly tears open the scar in Aaron's heart, the sister waiting for him, forcing him to confront the terror of death with brutal reality. The blade against his throat breaks Aaron completely. He sobs, begging for synthesis. Han's eyes are ice cold as he grits his teeth and delivers an ultimatum. Don't start what you cannot finish. Extreme terror finally morphs into a rage for survival. Cowardice fades from Aaron's eyes, replaced by a beastly glare. Han catches this transformation, smirking as the system interface glows blue for construction. As gems are consumed, a brand new smithy rises from the rain-soaked ground. Before Han can enjoy a moment of peace, the guide fairy Yahello appears out of thin air, bristling with rage and screaming. Facing the charging, furious fairy, Han doesn't flinch. Instead, he exposes her secret. He not only calls out her leaked tips, but pinpoints the source, a strategy forum known only to top-tier players. At the mention of the forum, Yahello instantly turns into a fangirl, wildly praising the legendary Loki. Stars in her eyes, she describes how her idol makes the impossible possible, completely missing the amused smirk on the man's face. The amusement in Han's eyes cools, replaced by a trace of pity for such blind adoration. Provoked by his disdain, Yahello prepares to lash out, unaware of the shockwave about to hit her. In that moment, his pupils flash with a haunting blue light, his ordinary features transformed by absolute confidence. Calmly, he drops the name, I am Loki. The confession explodes like thunder in Yahello's mind, shattering her previous mockery. She stares in disbelief at this low-star hero, her past rants returning as the most embarrassing boomerang. In the suffocating silence, golden summoning lights fall like a miracle. Yahello trembles, seeking confirmation, while the words "pick me up" cease to be just a game title and become a heavy chain of fate. Doubt still swirls in her eyes until Han sneers and recites a string of numbers. It's absolute classified data known only to the owner and admins. Yahello's fingers freeze over the console. Data doesn't lie. The haughty guy collapses instantly, reverting to a fangirl begging for an autograph, even flashing her VIP member status. Han watches the scene, finding it both absurd and amusing. He scrawls his signature on the tablet, but must face the stark reality: the former god of the arena is now a weak one-star character. Yahello's scream pierces his self-mockery. She accepts his fall even less than he does. The Cloud Fortress Niflheimer was once the symbol of his glory, now distinct and unreachable. Han puts away the last trace of nostalgia for his past brilliance, refocusing his gaze on the mud beneath his feet. Now that his identity is on the table, Han immediately seizes control. He coldly points out that the current master is just an ordinary Earth player, while they are merely pawns being moved at a whim. The cruel truth is finally unveiled. There are no AIs here. Every hero is a living person from a different world. The master clicking away at a screen has no idea they are toying with countless living souls. Faced with the ultimate question of returning home, Icel's silence is chilling. But Han has no retreat. Even if there is only a sliver of hope, he must climb that endless tower. In this moment, the worldview expands infinitely. Countless parallel universes, countless victims like him. Han gazes at the myriad bubbles in the starry sky, feeling an unprecedented isolation and insignificance. The ultimate irony strikes him as Loki. He too once treated these lives as disposable. Now the tables have turned, and the souls sacrificed by his reckless plays seem to stare coldly through the screen at this fallen god. Han calls out, and Icel appears in a burst of sparkles, promising aid if he obeys. Yet, the scene shifts to eerie straw dolls staring blankly at a ruined building, hinting at a darker purpose. On the training ground, Jenna moves with the speed of a prodigy, while Eren struggles, slow and clumsy. If he doesn't improve, death is a certainty. Just as Jenna offers encouragement, a furious girl descends from the sky, attacking in a jealous rage. Han watches cold-eyed as a chaotic dispute over the title of first servant erupts. Han grabs the intruder by the collar, coldly asserting his dominance before turning to Icel. The farce is over. It's time for business. He commands the storage to be opened. Under the cover of night, Han takes stock of the meager materials. Since his old blade no longer suffices, he decides to utilize the system and open the blacksmith himself. Stepping into the roaring forge, Han realizes he possesses unique half-master privileges. Staring into the flames, he rapidly cycles through blueprints of legendary weapons in his mind. System alarms blare, warning of abysmal success rates, but Han ignores them. He chooses manual mode and cranks the difficulty to extreme hell, leaving Icel terrified by his recklessness. For Han, forging transforms into a mini-game only elite players understand. With burning focus, his fingers dance in the air, manipulating blue energy cubes in a high-stakes performance. The countdown begins, and energy cubes rain down like a storm. Facing this suffocating challenge, Han remains effortlessly cool, a confident smirk playing on his lips. The show is on. His hands move as a blur, striking every node with precision, earning Icel's awe as the hand of God. Amidst blinding light, a gleaming longsword materializes from the void, a perfect success. Despite the poor materials, this C-rank longsword boasts incredible sharpness and balance. Han nods in satisfaction, having turned trash into treasure. Riding the momentum, he crafts a bow and shield. When Icel complains about the low C-rank, Han clenches his fist. She has no idea how hard it is to achieve this with such garbage resources. Stowing the gear, Han suppresses the urge to craft more. He must remain low-key to avoid triggering the foolish master's suspicion. Suddenly, a new combat order slashes across the sky. Deep in the forest, Jenna dives like a panther from above. Her blade tears through the air, striking at the enemy in the darkness with lethal intent. A massive blade of light explodes on impact. The fourth floor mission is annihilation. Jenna revels in the thrill. Eren sweats nervously, while Han has already shifted into cold, calculated combat mode. Their opponent is the formidable Harpy Queen. Outnumbered, even the enemy mocks the suicide mission of this three-man squad. Eren forces himself to raise his shield. A brutal impact shatters the defense, sending Eren flying with a scream. The system ruthlessly flags him with fear, slashing his stats and plunging the battle into chaos. Watching Eren scream and prophesy their death, Jenna's rage ignites. She smashes a fist into the coward's face. This is no time for tears. Stand up if you want to live. Han's roar cuts through the noise. Don't die like a clown. Touching the scar on his chest, Eren's fear finally morphs into savage survival instinct as he screams and drives his spear into the monster's throat. The battle ends, bringing victory and level-up notifications. Han secures MVP, but seeing Eren bloodied and gasping for air, the cost of this triumph feels incredibly heavy. As the smoke clears, Eren gasps in agony, unable to believe he survived. A cold system notification pops up. This dying meat shield has been marked as a favorite by the Master. The ecstasy of survival erupts as Eren screams to the heavens. Han Seojin glances coldly, cynically defining himself and Jinna as Subordinate 1 and Subordinate 2. Jokes aside, Han Seojin walks alone into the shadows, his gaze deepening. If rank truly mattered, the unseen Strongest Knight series would be the true number 1. Meanwhile, in the unreachable floating castle, 6-star hero cards radiate divine light. This isn't just data. These are top-tier AIs sophisticated enough to make one question if they have souls. On the castle terrace under the night sky, an atmosphere of parting descends. Yrith kneels, looking at the departing white figure with eyes full of reluctance and worry. Ceres doesn't look back, leaving only a cold directive. He entrusts the mission of tracking the Master to Yrith, for in this crumbling world, every minute is a countdown. As Ceres vanishes into the energy turbulence, the entire base shudders. Blue holographic lines spread wildly. The Master's resources have finally arrived. Base level up. Dilapidated facilities reconstruct in the light. The cafeteria, training grounds, and workshop are reborn. This isn't just a visual spectacle. It means they finally have the capital to survive this hell. A massive magical device rises in the center of the plaza, leaving Jinna jaw-dropped. Such massive investment forces her to reassess the wealth and madness of the Master behind the scenes. Han Seojin strolls under the futuristic dome, a mocking smile on his lips. To him, this is just pay-to-win mechanics, but for them living data it's a tangible shift in reality. Guide Isel swoons over gold coins, but Han Seojin coldly states the truth. In this stingy game, a player willing to spend real cash on gems is effectively their god. Renovations complete, now comes the main event summoning. The air fills with a gambler's fever. Will it be cheap fodder or powerful allies? It all depends on this draw. The light fades, and the Grand Plaza is instantly crowded with confused new faces. Panicked questions rise and fall. These poor rookies don't yet know they've fallen from reality into hell. Just as chaos threatens to spiral, a cold light flashes. Han Seojin's blade instantly silences the hysterical rookie, establishing the laws of survival here with absolute violence. Isel hovers above, assigning jobs like herding cattle, carpenters, blacksmiths, cooks. Here, there is no identity or dignity, only your value as a functional NPC. Facing their doubts, Isel simply announces the system changes coldly. With new facilities open, role division is final. Those who cannot adapt have no right to exist. The camera zooms out, revealing the massive floating city of Niflheim hovering silently in the void. Like a cold giant eye, it indifferently watches these ants struggle within the cage of rules. Outside the screen, the Master's finger hovers. Han Seojin keenly senses the shift. The invisible entity is reorganizing them based on Isel's categorization. Fate is condensed into a drag-and-drop motion. On the system interface, the names of the weak are casually flicked around. The one-star heroes without combat talent are instantly shunted onto the death list. The brutal culling takes immediate effect as the portal swallows the rejected. With a death notification of return to the goddess, Han Seojin watches coldly as the rookie named John dissolves into data shards. This is the fate of the incompetent. Han coldly dismisses the fallen, while Jinna silently prays for survival. Suddenly, the air is pierced by desperate screams. The system's brutal trial has begun. Eren, once paralyzed by fear, finally finds his voice and demands to fight. Sensing this shift, Han calmly instructs Isel to recruit the raw but determined rookie. As Eren is officially accepted, Han sternly warns him to respect the hierarchy. The tension breaks abruptly when Jinna explodes with frustration over their endless diet of potatoes. Jinna gazes anxiously at the sky, sensing a watching eye, but Han coolly dismisses her fears. However, their shared food dissatisfaction, stats silently scream for a change in diet. As the stage clear, notification flashes, a bloodied Eren calmly reports his first kill. The once cowardly recruit has finally taken his first step toward becoming a warrior. Back at base, the team is stunned to find a brand new cafeteria. Eren pumps his fist in excitement, dreaming that succulent lamb steaks will finally replace their potato diet. But reality strikes hard. The bowl is filled with the same old potatoes. As the chef yells excuses about lacking ingredients, the team's excitement instantly curdles into awkward disappointment. Han glares coldly at the skill-less chef, disgusted by the incompetence. Determined to improve their living conditions, he locks eyes with Chloe, already deciding her new fate. The system ruthlessly strips Dolph of his title, forcing the terrified Chloe into the role of head chef. In this unforgiving world, even the right to cook is earned by competence alone. Staring at the feast before them, Han delivers a chilling warning to the former chef. The delicious spread proves Chloe's worth, exposing the old cook's incompetence in the harshest light. Just as Jenna savors the delicious meal, Han's stern voice cuts through the warmth. For him, dinner is just another tactical briefing, and not a single second can be wasted. If you don't want to watch people die, listen up. Under the cover of night, Han reshapes the team's survival logic, filling even their mealtime with the suffocating pressure of staying alive. Han calmly assigns logistics roles, but when Dolph tries to lie again, he ruthlessly threatens to use him as synthesis material. Silence falls over the table. Everyone realizes that here, uselessness is a death sentence. The next day, the routine shifts. Stick in hand, Han coldly surveys the only 3 recruits who remain, preparing to drag these terrified teenagers through his own personal hell. On the training ground, Han moves like a phantom, effortlessly crushing the rookies' coordinated attacks. The massive power gap bores him, yet he has undeniably become the absolute boss in their eyes. Meanwhile, Jenna's blade moves with lightning speed, while Eren, through sheer, clumsy determination, carves out his own path to power in this unforgiving world. Under Han's tutelage, the confused trio is reborn. Days later, Eren proudly credits the rookies for their victory, proving the undeniable effectiveness of Han's hellish training. Easy missions lull Jenna into a false sense of security. But when she asks why they haven't advanced, Han's somber voice shatters the illusion. The 5th floor is a hell of an entirely different dimension. Gazing up at the tower glowing with ominous red light, Han hides a terror he dares not show. With the difficulty spike of every 5th floor, even a former top-ranked player like him has no guarantee of survival. Looking at the final roster of 6, Han chooses silence. He can't tell Jenna the truth that they are walking straight into a storm of despair capable of shattering their very sanity. Meanwhile, the battle on the 4th floor rages. A black-winged Valkyrie descends with killing intent as orc roars shake the battlefield. Hold the line! Shield-bearers scream in terror, sweat drenching their faces, forcing themselves to become a wall against the monster's frenzy. Blades clash against claws as Han's voice cuts through the chaos. Use the group's strength, instantly restoring order to the frantic formation. As the last enemy falls, Han watches coldly. He held back to forge these rookies in fire, waiting until the stage clear. Notification appeared. Dust settling, the warriors high-five over an easy victory, unaware of the deep concern brewing in Han's eyes for the dangers above. Back at base, the forge burns day and night. Craftsmen hammer out new gear. Every E-rank sword is a bid for survival in the coming death traps. In the shadows, the synthesis ritual begins. Weak souls are ruthlessly recombined to fuel the strong. A cruel price paid for survival. Are we really going to the 5th floor? Anxiety spreads through the ranks. Despite Isel's cheerful tone, the air grows heavy with dread. Moments before entry, Han whispers a warning. Get too relaxed, and heads will roll. Then, blinding blue light engulfs them all. The light fades to reveal a dead, ruined city. A massive, broken tower looms under the gloom, its ancient stones whispering of past catastrophes. The streets are terrifyingly empty. No monsters, no survivors. Hans scans the area, the unnatural silence stretching nerves to the breaking point. Suddenly, a scream pierces the silence. In a dark corner, a curled skeleton lies, exposed cold proof that this place is a graveyard. This is different. Han acts instantly, ordering Jinna up the bell tower. They must find the source of this suffocating pressure immediately. Atop the tower, Jinna's pupils dilate, cold sweat breaking out. I hope I'm seeing this wrong. Her trembling voice sinks the hearts of those below. Goblins! Behind the city, nothing but goblins. At Jinna's cry, Han spins around, a jolt of crisis shooting down his spine. How many? Lightning tears the sky, illuminating a scene of despair, thousands of goblins surging like a tide. The crimson mission window mercilessly declares, survive. Don't be afraid. The mission is just to survive. Han's roar drowns out the rain as he forces open a ruined door. We just need to hold out. The timer flashes a crimson countdown, 10 minutes. Han grits his teeth, a ruthless glint in his eyes, unlucky as hell, but not a dead end. Off the main road, into the alley. They sprint desperately through the ruins, grasping for that slim 9% survival chance in this notorious hero grinder. Debris falls as the ground trembles. Han Seojin raises a hand, halting the team. Wait. The narrow alley is their only advantage against the thousands approaching. They can only come one by one. We take them apart piece by piece. Orders fly fast and precise. Aaron to the right, Zid and Hansen to the rear. Everyone is pinned to their tactical positions. Jenna, center formation. Don't shoot until I say so. A desperate roar echoes. Barricades! If one spot breaks, we're all dead. The moment the timer appears, Han's heart tightens. 30 minutes. This isn't a lobby. Every second bleeds away in real time. As the first goblin steps through the archway, the countdown to death officially begins. Vicious fangs snap inches away. With the barricade unfinished by mere seconds, Han scrambles back, screaming, Damn it! It's not done! Wood splinters with a sickening crunch under the monster's impact. No retreat, only slaughter. Han's sword flashes as he lets out a desperate roar. Below, a green tide of monsters surges forward like a tsunami, countless red eyes fixated on their final line of defense. Then make a wall out of their corpses. Han's command cuts through the air, followed by the wet thud of steel on flesh. If the barricade is missing, they'll build it with enemy bodies. Aaron rallies, their defense forged in blood. Monsters dive bomb from above. Jenna glances anxiously at her side. Tell me when you're tired. But Han's eyes reflect only cold data. Block, stab, this isn't a fight, it's mechanical slaughter. He has already dissected their every move. Ha, do we really have to hold for 10 minutes? Aaron's voice cracks, his strength fading with every swing. Han turns, sweat dripping but eyes blazing. Have I ever lied to you? The question strikes like an anchor, holding their crumbling morale together. Rain lashes down, mixing with splattered blood. Time seems to freeze, the countdown stuck at a despairing 26:48. Out of the darkness, the endless wave of monsters continues to hammer against their fragile defense. We won't die a useless death in a place like this. Survival instinct erupts into a scream. 5 fates are now bound together. This isn't just a battle of stats, it's a desperate, dignified fight for existence. The sun sets like blood over the isolated town. But beneath the calm twilight, a new threat looms. A goblin erupts into a frenzy, its shriek tearing through the brief silence. Hansen collapses, consciousness fading. As the frontline teeters on collapse, Zid roars in fury. Shut up! Swap now! Purple energy surges, forcibly a last-ditch effort to snatch a life back from the Reaper. Stamina drains rapidly. Every breath feels like swallowing fire. Yet, he sees their flaws, wasted movements, wide openings. One hit is enough. Forcing calm amidst exhaustion, he harvests lives with minimal effort. This is absolute hell. They are weaklings, yet their suicidal charge is bone-chilling. Fearless, endless. With his mental defense crumbling, he finally screams in desperation. Swap! Swap me out! The formation is breaking. Han instantly spots Zid's crisis. Jenna, support Zid! Her bowstring snaps, tension released. I've been waiting for this! Blue streaks of light tear through the darkness, unleashing devastating power. A massive monster smashes the defense line to pieces. The blonde warrior tumbles back, screaming in terror. Didn't you say 10 minutes? Han curses while blocking. Idiot! It's only been 5. Another sickening roar. The fear in Jenna's eyes has been replaced by pure rage. She strikes back at the endless nightmare. Stop coming! You're getting annoying. System alarms flash wildly. Zid's health is plummeting. Teammates scream over the chaos. Don't hesitate! Swap with Hansen! Han's voice pierces through the pain. Stop crying! Get back to the waiting room and you'll live. My hand? Terror takes hold, dropping all stats by 30%. Zid stares at his trembling hands, moments away from death. Just in the nick of time, a figure crashes in, blocking the fatal blow. Are you going to get us all killed? Han shows no mercy to the weeping, apologizing Zid, only cold coercion. Remember, if you don't swap, Hansen dies. Forced into a brutal choice, Zid grits his teeth and makes the call. With a flash of steel, Han cuts down the enemy, roaring in fury at the tide of monsters surging from below, unleashing his suppressed bloodlust. Weapons shatter under endless slaughter. As Zid panics, Eren steps up to the front line, while Han barks a ruthless order at another wavering recruit, tolerating no retreat. Even as the blade dulls, it becomes a bludgeon. Han slams his shield forward, channeling the desperate will to survive into raw, primal violence. Pushed to the limit, Eren tries to cover Jenna, only to be met with stubborn refusal, until Han screams the final countdown, the longest 3 minutes before hell ends. Time seems to freeze as Han issues a suffocating command ordering Jenna to fire arrows toward their teammate. A tactic so insane it chills the air instantly. Quivers run empty as death looms. Urged by Han's desperate cry, Jenna grits her teeth, turning their last hope into a loose arrow and all-or-nothing gamble. Facing brutal orcs, Han's greatsword erupts with blinding light, but after the thunderous strike, he whips around, calling for the name that should have been there. But only silence answers. Zid falls into a pool of blood, consciousness fading with the pain, his blurred vision catching only Jenna's terrified approach, perhaps too late. A cold system notification seals his fate. Zid is moribund. Jenna stares in disbelief as rain and blood wash away their last shreds of hope. The battle rages on, but as Jenna lands, she witnesses a heartbreaking sight, her teammate lying in blood, his life flickering like a candle in the wind, ready to snuff out. Pain shatters reason. Zid, trembling, stops Jenna from pulling the blade, and in his dying hallucinations, he still tries to hold the broken line. No time for grief. Han gasps for air, standing between the beast and his team, forcing his leaden body to form the final defense, even if only for 30 seconds. Roaring, he charges to carve a path for the recruits, but amidst the chaotic screams, the shadow of death has already quietly fallen upon another. The system announces Zid's death. Suppressing the shock, Han ruthlessly orders Jenna to ignore the body and fight here. Grief is a luxury that leads to annihilation. Tears mix with rage as Jenna awakens new power and despair. Amidst Han's roars, they transform into killing machines, striking without looking back. Pain blocked by the system, sanity on the edge. Soaked in blood, Han refuses to accept defeat, even as Hansen's life begins its final countdown. Darkness swallows everything. Hansen kneels, demons looming behind him. He screams a heart-wrenching plea to his only hope, his voice trembling and shrill. Save me. The hand reaching for the sky falls limp, as sharp claws pierce his chest, shattering all hope along with his life. Another name turns into a gray death notification. Survivors stand amidst the ruins, echoing words of the fallen, left with one chilling question: will we die here? Climb! Zid screams through the blood and grime. With monsters closing in, hesitation in this life-or-death moment is a one-way ticket to hell. Zid hacks wildly at the screeching beast. One strike isn't enough. His eyes burn with a desperate, lethal resolve to keep swinging until the end. Jenna reaches the high ground and desperately reaches back. Eren scrambles up the debris, salvation just inches from his fingertips, racing against death. Just as fingers brush, agony strikes from below. Eren screams as monsters tear at his legs, blood instantly staining the wooden scaffold. Han stays behind, eyes cold as ice. Amidst the torrential rain, he slashes at the monster's legs, buying his team precious seconds to escape. Eren is bleeding out, his health plummeting. Jenna grits her teeth, straining every muscle to haul him up in a desperate tug-of-war with the Reaper. A nightmare unfolds the monster's stack like a living ladder. Han lets out a cold laugh, his killing intent sharper than the pouring rain. "I dropped my spear!" Jenna shrieks, paralyzed by panic. Han doesn't turn, holding the line alone in the bloody rain, refusing to give an inch. "Kick them!" Han roars, eyes bloodshot. 30 seconds remain, stretching like an eternity, as he burns his very life force to survive. The timer mocks them. A claw clamps onto Han's face, suffocating him, but the killing intent in his eyes only burns brighter for a final strike. Stab the blade pierces his gut. Agony twists Han's face as blood spurts, but he clamps his jaw shut, trembling violently yet refusing to fall. Pain transforms into apocalyptic rage. "You bastards!" he bellows from the bloodbath, a dying beast baring its fangs for the kill. The world remains a bloody hell. Jenna stares in horror at the teetering figure, tears mixing with rain as suffocating despair spreads. Swarmed by monsters, every blow pushes Han closer to death. He flickers like a dying candle in the onslaught, still cursing them with every breath. System warnings flash red. Han finally drops to his knees, surrounded by countless greedy red eyes. The shadow of death consumes him. Is this the end? Darkness swallows his mind. Dying here? On the 5th floor? Unfairness, grievance, and hatred explode in his shattered heart, signaling a mental collapse. Why me? The desperate question morphs into a roar against fate. The dam of reason collapses, replaced by absolute madness and rage. It's not over. Under the eye patch, a dead eye ignites with eerie red light. No longer human, he rises as a demon from hell, rejecting death's verdict. No way in hell! Berserker instinct takes over. Han swings his blade with a manic laugh. As the monster falls, hunter and prey instantly switch roles. A desperate roar cuts through the dark. I won't die here! As claws tear the air, his eyes burn crimson, more vicious than the demon itself. At the brink of collapse, the system chimes dash, berserk, awakened. Pain becomes fuel as he screams at the encroaching monsters. You think you can kill me? Come on then, scum! Reason burns away, leaving only raw instinct. Even if his body shatters, he will not fall, a crimson storm tearing through the battlefield. Every strike thunders with destruction, shattering the earth. No longer human, he is a beast unchained, unleashing pure, unadulterated violence. Even if his body falls apart, so be it. Roaring after images overlap as he grips the cracked blade, launching a final, suicidal dive. I will never stop! His scream drowns out the wind. Charging through debris and crimson light, Shearwell drags his broken body forward. The timer hits 0. Amidst glitching numbers and void, nightmare phantoms close in layer by layer, the final judgment has arrived. Facing the overwhelming mental onslaught, Jenna cowers in fear, but Han stands firm. Even as claws rake towards his face, his gaze remains as fierce as a wolf's. In an instant, the violent illusions vanish. The system coldly announces, MVP, marking their victory. Jenna lowers her blades. Everyone is pushed to their absolute limit. The teleportation light glows, leaving behind only bloodied weapons. They survived, yet the silence holds no cheers, only a suffocating heaviness. Back in the ruined reality, snapped nerves give way. Jenna collapses, tears mixing with rain, every breath a desperate struggle. Jenna sobs a name, as if confirming she's still alive. Han stumbles, turning around, his usually cold voice cracking with a rare, weak plea for help. Trembling hands clasped tight. Did we survive? They live, yet the realization that this was only the 5th floor casts a fresh shadow of despair. If I had trained them earlier. Han stares at the bloodstains, voice low. This is the cost of teamwork, and the brutal law of elimination for the weak. Back at camp, an unsuspecting ally runs up eagerly. Boss! Food is ready! Where are Zid and Hansen? The innocent question cuts through the air like a knife. Dead. Han doesn't hesitate for a second, spitting the word out coldly. The smile freezes, eyes widening in shock as their world collapses in an instant. Before grief can settle, the master summons them. The glaring, died in battle, on the status board mercilessly declares those two are now just deleted data. Lying alone in the dim cell, Han closes his eyes. He refuses to indulge in sorrow. On this bloody path to the summit, death is merely a daily routine. Extreme calm in the left hand, berserk rage in the right. Why do these conflicting powers coexist? Staring at the glow, he both, master and hero, sinks into deep thought. Covered in filth, Han Seojin curls up on a meager bed, the night silence heavy with exhaustion. He forces his mind to shut down. Tomorrow, the brutal pace accelerates once more. Chapter 13 begins. Amidst the dawnlit ruins, a red-haired figure plummets from the sky, a suicidal training drill driven by the desperate will to survive. As Han's blade slices through the air, Jenna screams in terror, "I don't want to die." Yet, beneath the panic, a steely resolve begins to harden in her eyes. While Eren struggles, Han pushes his limits, doing handstand push-ups amidst the rubble. To break the cursed growth cap of a one-star hero, he must pay a double price in sweat and pain. Jenna squats beside the sweating Han, eyeing his tense muscles with a dangerous playfulness. Han exasperatedly warns her to stop looking at him like he's a piece of meat. The banter fades. Jenna stares at the empty entrance. Eren hasn't shown up. The shadow of their comrades' gruesome deaths yesterday has crushed the man who once loved to train. Weaklings pretend to train, and Han watches with cold disdain. He finds himself regretting the deaths of Zid and Hansen, potential assets he could have sharpened into weapons, now wasted. Eren finally appears, consumed by guilt over his lack of strength. But Han offers no comfort, only a cold, hard truth. They died because they were weak. A month has passed in this world. Han gazes at the purple sky filled with floating debris, calculating the time dilation from reality, feeling a profound sense of isolation. Like a cold analyst, he deciphers the master's login patterns. That brutal time dilation is the only thing saving them from total annihilation. Isel celebrates the miracle of surviving the 5th floor, but her joy instantly morphs into hysterical rage at the sleeping heroes, her emotions swinging wildly like a pendulum. The system chimes. The party is assembled. Ignoring the shock around him, Han issues cold commands, leading this makeshift squad into the twisted dimensional rift. Before the massive teleportation arch, the new recruits tremble with anxiety. Han, however, locks onto the target, the daily dungeon Kinda Forest, a hunting ground for survival. In the dim corridor, the rookie Owen trembles, asking if they need to fight. Han erupts with a terrifying blue aura, replying coldly, "No. Just watch." Stepping through the kaleidoscopic portal, the group enters a dense, dark forest. The air hums with unknown magical energy, far removed from the safety of their base. The tension breaks as Jenna, like a child finding treasure, excitedly gathers materials from the ground. Han watches, speechless at her enthusiasm for such a tedious task. Han points to the glowing vortex, explaining the rules of survival. Here, even dead branches are resources. All trash is recycled to build the foundation of their future. Boring gathering over, Han's command to start hunting instantly ignites Jenna's eyes. She forgets the branches. Only one thought remains: finally meet. In a glowing clearing, a strange deer-like creature appears. Before it can react, Jenna is already drooling, eyes shining not with battle intent, but with pure, ravenous hunger. The battle ends in an instant. As Jenna skillfully butchers the fallen beast with manic happiness, even the cold-blooded Han feels a chill run down his spine. Night descends on the perilous forest. Jenna wipes blood from her face, watching Han gear up. His eyes are cold, driven by frustration. I'm going hunting. I'm sick of eating those damn potatoes. Meanwhile, the system timer ticks down mercilessly, only 30 minutes left. Han navigates between the dreamy canyon and the dark woods until, finally, he locks onto his target. He holds his breath, peering from behind a tree. By the lake, two queens of the forest drink silently, their divine aura masking the danger of being a rare, high-value target. That's the upgrade crystal he needs. Han hesitates no longer. His black boot smashes into the water, shattering the silence. The prey looks up in terror, letting out a piercing shriek. Killing intent explodes. Han descends like a black lightning bolt. Blue energy blades carve a deadly path through the air, instantly engulfing the panicked forest queen. Dust settles after the thunderous impact. Han lands, looking down at the beautiful creature lying in its own blood. His voice is cold and mocking. All your boys are dead. How does it feel? A deep rumble echoes from the darkness. Something worse has awakened. Han, bruised and battered, grins. He hoists his giant sword, eyes burning with arrogant battle lust. Come on. Come to me. In this cruel world, every day is a gamble for survival. The system's schedule rotates dungeons daily, the only path to strength, and a breeding ground for death. A massive shadow looms as the masked horror roars. Han shows no fear. Instead, he tilts his head in defiance, readying himself for this deadly David and Goliath clash. Elsewhere in the forest, panic erupts. Rookies scream monster. In the broad daylight, their faces twisted in despair as fear shatters their sanity. But it wasn't a beast they feared, it was Han emerging from the shadows. Holding a jar of purple liquid, he radiates an aura more terrifying than any monster, glaring coldly at the survivors. The hunt ends. Jenna collapses next to the massive carcass, shocked by its size and Han's madness. Han only cares about the loot. System prompt: Jenna has acquired the critical queen's blood. Jenna holds the dripping deer head, disgusted by its lack of meat. Han calmly explains the value of the antlers. Suddenly, Jenna awakens the forest hunter skill, a reward for her brutal harvest. In the rainy night, Jenna plunges her blade into prey again, her wild instincts reawakening. Han clutches the attribute gem, watching her back, certain that her promotion is now inevitable. Finally back in town, the table is piled high with steaming roast meat. Jenna's eyes light up with pure joy as she feasts. Han watches quietly, a brief reward for their hellish training. But rest is fleeting. A new day, a new portal, Cimmeral Plateau. Han steps into the light with a question. Can mere gathering really break the rules of this deadly game? A vast expanse opens up, a broad plateau beneath a stunning purple nebula. Jenna is awestruck, but Han instantly focuses, coldly reminding her, "We're here for attribute stones. Don't space out." Jenna stands by the cliff, enjoying the breeze and the view. Han looks past the scenery, his gaze locking sharply onto a splash of red in the rocks, a rare life plant. Key material for regeneration potions. Just as Han moves to harvest it, the ground shakes violently, and a blue beast roars. Han reacts instantly, his sword flashing as he strikes head-on. The giant wolf lunges at Jenna, kicking up a storm of dust. But she's no longer that helpless girl. She dodges effortlessly, a confident smile on her face. Just one? No problem at all. The battlefield smolders under the setting sun. While Jenna nervously harvests the monster, Han coldly commands her to hurry, his focus entirely on analyzing the blue crystal in his hand for its potential value. Wiping blood from her face, Jenna longs for a peaceful life. Han lets out a cynical scoff, a mocking smile playing on his lips. He knows better than anyone that as long as the master exists, this world is no paradise. Fighting on the front lines isn't everything. Han turns to gaze at Jenna's back, his eyes heavy with unsaid truths. He must shatter her naive illusions. forcing her to realize that survival demands more than just wishful thinking. Jenna, covered in grime, tremblingly begs for a different role. Han simply tilts his head, his gaze sharp as a blade, and coldly asks why she doesn't just leave. His faint chuckle is a cruel mockery of her powerlessness. The calm of several days is shattered as a new trial descends. The interface for the 6th floor glows ominously in the jungle. Unlike the usual slaughter, this is a mysterious exploration mission. Han grips his spear tight before the blue energy cascade. With a deafening roar of teleportation, a blinding blue light tears through space. New recruit Daika shouts in excitement, but Han scans the surroundings coldly, sensing something unusual about this rare exploration mission. In the dark jungle, the team crawls in breathless silence. Eren trembles with fear, while Jenna wears a bloodthirsty smile. Han hisses a stern warning in these treacherous shadows. A single sound could mean destruction. Through the gaps in the trees, 3 armored goblins come into view. Han's pupils contract as he locks onto the Horn-A signal for reinforcements. If that sounds, they will be swarmed. The goblin village ahead looms like a gaping maw. It's clearly a trap. Han hesitates for nothing, issuing instant kill orders, Jenna to snipe, Eren to spear. They must end this with thunderous speed before the enemy reacts. Seconds before the ambush, Eren, sweating profusely, begs for backup. Han gives a low, affirmative grunt. Before the word settles, a purple flash erupts, all hesitation transforming instantly into a lethal charge. The sharp spear, wrapped in killing intent, plunges deep into the enemy's skull. Blood sprays across the rainforest as the orc's roar twists into a pained wail, the battle instantly hitting a fever pitch. I won't let you call for help. Driven by survival, every strike targets a vital point. With the dull sound of a crushing skull, the enemy's attempt is utterly shattered in a pool of blood, no mercy given. Rain pours down as Eren's weapon slices through the curtain of water, striking with thunderous force. The orc's eyes widen in terror, its desperate scream instantly drowned out by the crushing impact. On the other side, Han moves like a phantom. To silence any cry for help, his blade becomes a pale trail of death, cleanly severing the enemy's life force as blood blooms grimly in the rainy night. The victory notification flashes, and a shaken Eren thinks it's over. But Han presses his hand to his forehead, eyes glowing blue. His intuition screams that the real secret is just surfacing. He must go check. Walking alone into the mist, Han faces the menacing fortifications, his mind racing. This isn't just a random mission. He senses a hidden logic behind it, a clue only the former master could decipher. Sure enough, a massive shadow lurks in the valley, a giant wolf roaring against its chains. Looking down from above, Han surveys the goblin village. The sheer scale confirms his suspicion. This is a massive nest. Deep within the dark cages, beyond the vicious guards, lies something far more alarming, a swirling blue vortex. It's not just magic, it resembles an activated data conduit, pulsing with dangerous fluctuations. As Jenna catches up, Han reveals the truth. This isn't just exploration, it's a chain quest known as a stream. Staring at the massive energy field, the former top player knows that once they step into this flow, there is no turning back. A piercing alarm shatters the silence as Jenna rushes in, screaming in panic and clutching Han's sleeve. Han's brow furrows, his gaze sharpening instantly. The crisis has arrived far sooner than expected. Meanwhile, the night streets are bathed in an eerie blue glow. A well-equipped squad emerges, their leader raising a shining lance to herald the arrival of the so-called premium heroes. System panels pop up, confirming the link with the main wolf mercenaries. Isel excitedly boasts about the master's cash purchase, eliciting only a scornful scoff from Han. Inside, Han calmly orders a panicked Chloe to retreat. Outside, a new mercenary roars at Eren, his arrogant face twisted with disdain for these atypical newbies. In the courtyard filled with floating purple lights, a black-haired female mercenary leans against the wall, radiating hostility. Jenna tries to break the ice with a warm greeting, only to be met with dead silence. Jenna sweats nervously as Edith, the mercenary, tries to joke about the stone-faced man beside her, only to be instantly silenced by his cold shut up. Han's gaze sweeps over Edith's stat panel, approaching her like a predator inspecting prey. A dangerous curve touches his lips as his low voice carries undeniable pressure. "I want to talk with you." Under dim lights, a glass slams onto the table. Han interrogates her directly about her memories. Edith's grip on the cup tightens, her eyes betraying confusion and unease. At the mention of the past, Edith presses her forehead in pain. Han keenly grasps the key detail high star characters retain more memories, even knowing of the cruel synthesis mechanism. As memory fragments piece together, Edith finally recalls being part of the main wolf. The system interface lights up, revealing a row of glowing blue 3-star hero cards. Just as Edith weeps in sorrow, a piercing alarm blasts. The Master's mandatory summon order tightens around everyone's nerves like an invisible chain. While Han remains calm, the burly blonde man erupts in fury. He stomps the ground, roaring at the sky, refusing to be ordered around like a dog by an unknown entity. But instantly, the brute's expression shifts as he laughs greedily at the meat in his hand. He shamelessly snatches the entire leg, ignoring that it was meant to feed 5 people. Jenna stares at the empty plate in shock and anger, wanting to confront him, but Han calmly holds her back. Meanwhile, the system screen flickers. Team 5 is officially renamed Main Wolf. Under the starry sky, the 5 heavily armed mercenaries assemble, radiating a suffocating pressure. Distant observers break into a cold sweat, instinctively sensing the dangerous aura emitting from this group. Before the doubts fade, the mercenaries charge like beasts. Amidst flashes of steel, their terrifying destructive power instantly turns all whispers into horrified silence. After the chaos, Han turns to the trembling rookies. Facing their pleading eyes for protection, he offers only a cold sneer and a brutally realistic question: "For free?" He ruthlessly tears away their dignity, slacking off daily, then kneeling to the strong to survive. "Is that your strategy?" Every word strikes their hearts like a dagger. Staring at the cowards, who only seek to escape the fate of synthesis, the blue light in Han's eyes grows colder. He waves his hand as if swatting flies, issuing a final dismissal: "Get lost." From the shadows, Han's eyes pierce like ice. His command to get out carries a suffocating weight, freezing his target in sheer terror. This rage isn't baseless. Aaron trembles, recalling the despair of bleeding out while his allies watched. Han remains cold. He already knew their treachery. Meanwhile, the arrogant mercenaries gloat over an easy victory. They strut over goblin corpses, unaware a true predator is watching from the shadows. Flashback to their first meeting in the gloom. Avant, the mercenary captain, stares down Han with towering arrogance, eyeing him like prey. Han lounges on a bench, his nonchalance instantly igniting their fury. Avant steps forward, forced to declare his rank to assert dominance. "I was just a farmer." Han's playful smirk accompanies the ridiculous lie, leaving Avant frowning, torn between suspicion and wariness. But the mood shifts. Han realizes the Master is initiating a reckless tenfold summon. In this crisis, it means only one thing: chaos. Purple light explodes from the altar. The innocent newcomers materialize, horrified to realize they weren't summoned as heroes, but as living sacrifices. Violence erupts instantly. The blonde brute seizes a newcomer by the throat like a beast. Fear permeates the air. Life here is terrifyingly cheap. Mocking laughter echoes in the cold chamber. The veterans relish the despair, viewing these confused souls as mere fuel for their own power. This is wrong. Despite Jenna's protest, the tragedy unfolds. Golden light consumes a life, and the brute roars in ecstasy, drunk on stolen power. Emboldened by power, the villains shed all pretense, hunting the remaining survivors. The sanctuary instantly transforms into a bloody hunting ground. Enough. Han confronts Avant on the roof, knuckles white on his hilt. His murderous intent is palpable, ignoring all pleas to stand down. Even the system fairy tries to intervene, but Han's mind is made up. When the brute roars in his face again, Han knows only blood will settle this. Just offering advice. Han's scornful taunt lights the fuse. The brute snaps, roaring as he launches a lethal punch. Fists fly, arrows whistle. The suppressed conflict detonates. Words are meaningless now. It is time for steel to speak. You are trash, Avant sneers. But from the shadows, Han looks up, a menacing grin revealing that the roles of hunter and prey are about to flip. System alarms flash wildly, hostility confirmed. Isel screams in panic, trying to stop it, but the murderous intent is unleashed and unstoppable. Ignoring the warnings, Han pierces their facade. Tell me the truth, you aren't even mercenaries. His words strike a raw nerve. You're just bandits. Han delivers the verdict coldly. He turns to the ferry, his eyes merciless. Isel, trash like this just gets in the way. Facing disdain and mockery, Han's gaze turns ice cold. He flinches not an inch, summoning the system interface to challenge the arrogant Avant to a duel to the death. Like being bitten by a mad dog. Han scoffs, turning his back. He ruthlessly exposes their cowardly nature of preying on the weak, tearing away their mask of superiority. This is no spar, it's a gamble of life. From the shadows, Han reveals the brutal truth to Jinna. The winner consumes the loser entirely. Survival of the fittest. The suffocating condition pops up. Synthesis. Avant stares at this suicidal proposal, a playful smirk curling his lips, and accepts without hesitation. Both sides stand ready. Han taps the screen, a hunter's cunning in his smile, while Avant remains dismissive, unaware he has stepped into a trap. Blade drawn, gleaming cold. Han calmly orders Jinna to evacuate the others, facing the enemy alone. His composure freezes the anxious air. Think I'll lose? Han's taunt ignites Jinna's spirit. Avant sinisterly claims he won't kill him, a promise that only makes the blood run colder. Combat erupts instantly. Avant strikes like lightning, mocking his opponent's slowness. Yet, in the face of death, Han sees only a calm stream of data. The stat gap is despairing, but this is the moment Han waited for. System alarms blare as his pupils turn blood-red dash. Frenzy state, awakened. Avant's terrifying power crushes the defense instantly. Following the sickening crunch of impact, Han is smashed into the ground like a broken doll. No chance to breathe. Punches rain down, splattering blood. Vision blurs from the agony as Avant's assault continues, like a raging beast, tearing him apart. Cold steel pierces flesh. Avant towers over him, eyes filled with cruel delight. This is the price for not knowing your place, he declares coldly. The wound is ruthlessly twisted, sending shooting pain. Avant savors the struggle, his whisper of, "It'll hurt more if you move," is pure demonic mockery. A desperate cry cuts through the rain. Stop! We lost. But the crimson glow in Avant's eyes doesn't fade, it only burns with greater madness. Rules mean nothing before absolute power. Avant coldly rejects the plea for surrender. As long as the prey breathes, the torture will not end. He is my prey! Avant claims dominion over life and death, like a beast guarding its kill. In the pouring rain, Han faces not just physical ruin, but total humiliation. The target shifts instantly. Avant grabs Edith, digging his fingers into her flesh, demanding the truth about her betrayal. The suffocating pressure thickens the air. A former ally, now a sacrificial lamb. Edith trembles under Avant's violent coercion, forced to choose between past loyalty and present terror. Traitors deserve only death. Avant erupts with terrifying red energy, his killing intent sealed. He prepares to deliver the final judgment upon the defiant and the unfaithful. Amidst the ruins, he crushes his enemy like a demon, purple-red energy declaring absolute dominance. Over the screams of agony, he extends an irrefutable invitation to Edith, her only path to survival. With the dissolution of the main wolves announced, Edith makes her choice. In the rainy night, the defeated retreat with resentment, while a new order rises from the ruins. The victor offers no mercy, tormenting the dying prey with voracious words. Just as conflict threatens to erupt again, the winged girl rushes into the fray in panic, trying to uphold the crumbling rules. A fierce standoff erupts in the air, but the hunter's net has already tightened. With a cold farewell, those glowing red eyes declare a death sentence. There are no second chances here. Destructive energy erupts instantly, obliterating all resistance. The system's cold text scrolls, announcing the enemy's death not by the blade, but by mental collapse in the face of absolute terror. The battle fever lingers as one laughs maniacally amidst the blood, craving praise. Meanwhile, the flames around Han Seo-jin slowly fade, his crimson beast-like eyes regaining the light of reason. The side effects of the berserker's skill split his head with pain, but he instantly returns to cold analysis. Watching his oblivious opponent on the screen, a mock smile touches Han's lips. In this survival game, ignorance is the original sin. Staring at the glowing card interface, he feels helpless against the master's recklessness. Even precious heroes are discarded carelessly, yet he keenly realizes this is his only chance to break the star rank limit. Morning light spills over the ruins as the MVP stands tall. In this cruel world, he swears a silent oath. If the master is foolish enough to sacrifice his sharpest blade, this tower will never be conquered. He stares directly into the giant eye in the void that represents fate, showing no fear. In this gamble, the pawn issues the most audacious provocation: sacrifice me, if you dare. Those once vibrant names are now just cold data cards, some reduced to ash, others struggling to survive. This is the true face of pick-me-up heroes are nothing but replaceable consumables. The scene shifts to the walled town, where an uneasy atmosphere permeates the air. With the creak of an old wooden door, Han Seo-jin steps into the shadows. A new storm is brewing. The room erupts in clamor, as blind adoration and excitement spread through the crowd. Faced with this sudden commotion, Jenna looks flustered, trying to distance herself from the farce amidst the chaos. The rescued civilians shed tears of gratitude, recounting their brush with death. Yet, facing this fervent thanks, Han Seo-jin only lets out a heavy sigh, his eyes filled with resignation and detachment. We are alive thanks to you. Facing this sincere gratitude, Han Seo-jin coldly shatters the heartwarming illusion. He turns away ruthlessly, leaving behind a freezing truth that battle had nothing to do with saving them. Just then, Aaron's cold voice pierces the noise, calling out 6 names. The unusual number instantly alerts the experienced Jenna to the anomaly. This is no ordinary gathering. Sunlight casts long shadows on the ground as the air seemingly freezes. Arms crossed, Han Seo-jin ruthlessly reveals the answer. This is for synthesis. In that instant, the light in the eyes of the chosen is swallowed by sheer terror. Desperate screams tear through the silence. Someone angrily questions the unfairness of fate, roaring that they did their best. But Han Seo-jin remains unmoved, merely turning his head to ask Aaron the most lethal question. You were just porters carrying carcasses. Jenna's truth lands like a slap in the face, and Han Seo-jin's subsequent humiliation detonates the powder keg. Since they have no combat value, even their dignity as humans is stripped away. A fist fueled by rage and blue light smashes into the provoker's face, silencing him. Just as chaos reigns, the guide Isel descends from the sky. The lambs to the slaughter see a savior, unaware she is merely part of the system. Han makes a ruthless choice. Desperate screams fill the room, only to be silenced instantly by the shattering of blue crystals. Pleas for mercy shatter alongside them. 6 lives dissolve into data at the system's prompt. From their ashes, Edith rises, evolved. In this light, the names of the weak are forgotten. Edith steps from the light, eyes sharp as steel. She delivers the only rule that matters. No one will save you. Prove your worth or die. Under the crushing pressure, one recruit breaks down. Han offers a cold lifeline. Combat isn't the only way. Blacksmiths and supporters have a right to live too. The fog of despair lifts as the core team steps up. Han's words strike hard. The path to survival was always there. You just never chose to walk it. Synthesis complete. Jenna teases Han about his hidden kindness. He scoffs, but his glowing blue eyes betray a flicker of approval. They are finally learning to survive. But warmth is fleeting. Han's mind snaps back to the looming tower. The 10th floor approaches. He needs a second elite squad to face the terror ahead. Morning breaks with rare sunlight. The tension eases as a baker arrives with fresh bread, a fleeting moment of peace in a brutal world. Han eats, calculating even now food is morale. Morale is strategy. Suddenly, a creak at the door snaps him back to reality. Alertness returns instantly. No time for rest. Han barks an order. Jenna protests. She's an archer, but under Han's iron command, she's forced to pick up a blade. Reluctant but fierce, Jenna commits. Her dagger traces a sharp arc through the air. Complaints vanish, replaced by the spark of clashing steel. Edith underestimates her and pays the price. Jenna explodes with power, her roar shattering the mockery. Every strike proves she is no child. The tables turn. Jenna becomes a blur of blue lightning, dominating the field. Edith, breathless and battered, can only stare in shock. Dust settles. Edith collapses, arrogance gone. She admits her humble roots and hard work. Jenna smiles, sweat recognizes sweat. Frustrated by the gap in power, Edith cries foul. Han counters coldly. Talent implies, but only sweat delivers. His words ignite a new fire in her eyes. Fear is the best motivator. Witnessing yesterday's synthesis, the recruits train like madmen. No one wants to be the next name erased from existence. But it's not enough. Han's cold gaze sweeps the crowd, singling out the weak link. On this bridge of survival, every spot is bought with brutal competition. A gray-haired man steps forward. Roderick, a former porter. Though nervous, his weathered stance catches Han's sharp eye. A knowing grin spreads across Han's face. He sees through the guise those aren't a porter's hands. He tosses a sword. Pick it up. Prove you're a warrior. The ruins loom ominously under the night sky, heavy with the weight of fate. That night, a cruel rule descended. To survive, sacrifice became inevitable. Meanwhile, the system coldly announces a successful synthesis, rising a hero to 3 stars. Yet in the jungle's reality, the weak scream in despair. The daily dungeon remains a lethal abyss. Dawn breaks, casting a pale light over the towering walls. Jenna rubs her sleepy eyes, yawning, oblivious to the heavy atmosphere lurking behind this early morning assembly. Silence. Han Seojen's voice cuts from above, icy and sharp. Hearts tighten, panic mixing with confusion. Is this the start of another brutal member selection? Not a decree from the master, but a bolder plan from Han. His hand hovers over the black container, a lottery box of fate. Everyone's future is now compressed into this dark void. A confident smirk plays on Han's lips as his fingers tap the box, a crisp sound in the silence. Bathed in eerie blue light, the game to decide their fate officially begins. 2 groups, 2 leaders. As Han speaks, Eren sighs in relief, but Edith freezes, pupils trembling and sweat dripping. She has been thrust onto the razor's edge of leadership. Jenna protests furiously, refusing to be sidelined. Han shuts her down with a stone-cold gaze, but his mind races. Stacking all the strong together risks total annihilation if they fall. His mind flashes back to the brutal 5th floor, shattered windows and desperate faces. That was the price of the power gap. When the weak cannot keep up, only corpses remain. No more excuses for randomness. Han stares at the system interface, eyes burning. Red team with him. Blue with Edith, a final safeguard against the chaos of the paid summon. Joy or sorrow, the result is set. Red and blue pins clatter into the cup. As the puppet symbolizing fate is blown away, the irreversible draw begins. It's red. Jenna pumps her fist, thrilled to be with the ace. But elsewhere, those who missed the red ticket turn pale, sweat pouring down like rain. It feels like a one-way ticket to hell. Han turns to Edith, his eyes void of warmth. Keep up, or be left behind. It's not a warning. It's a final ultimatum for survival in this cruel world. Edith takes a deep breath, straightening her spine. Remembering the power of the synthesis, confidence returns. The system interface flashes, locking in the 2 party rosters ready for deployment. The scene shifts violently. The seventh floor storm forest opens like a maw. Amidst thunder and rain, the greedy, grotesque faces of the goblin army emerge from the darkness, radiating suffocating bloodlust. Facing the tide of monsters, Han signals his team to stand back. Just watch. He draws his blade, hovering alone in the rain, his eyes burning with the intent to slaughter. The goblins roar, but Han is faster. System alert. Frenzy state activated. He transforms into a bolt of red lightning, plunging into the enemy ranks with devastating force. A web of sword light, flesh flying. In his frenzy, Han is a demon of war. Every slash brings a howl of agony, turning the rain to blood, a completely one-sided massacre. The hunters become the prey. The remaining goblins tremble in the rain, weapons clattering to the mud. The terror in their eyes is the ultimate tribute to Han's absolute power. The rain pours on, but the red glow in Han's eyes fades, replaced by his usual calm. He spares the last one. Start the search. His cold command cuts through the storm, declaring a flawless victory. Rain lashes down from the inky night sky. Han stands on the edge of the cliff, his cold gaze piercing through the storm. He analyzes the variables, the downpour, the raging river, calculating his next move. The dam burst upstream, flooding the battlefield in an instant. The victory screen flashes. Eren levels up. Han secures MVP again. But as his team begs for rest, Han's mind is already racing toward the next crisis. Back in the lobby, Eren burns with a desire to train, unsatisfied with his current strength. But a system chime shatters. The calm, the unpredictable master is spending money again. Han's eyes narrow sharply. A double pack purchase. He barks orders instantly. Jenna, get paper. Eren, bring Edith. New variables are incoming, and they need to be ready. Payment confirmed in the real world. Purple light descends in the game. It's the omen of a premium summon. Unknown fates are being dragged into this cruel world as the gold is consumed. The current roster is too thin. Han stares at the cards, calculating furiously. Will this summon bring a useful weapon, or just more trash to be disposed of? Eren scrambles to execute the order, shouting through the corridors. Tension hangs thick in the air. Everyone senses that something major is about to shift. Watching the summoning circle glow, Han smirks. He knows these players too well. Once they start spending, they never stop at just once. To the master behind the screen, this is just the joy of growth. Observing, commanding, watching numbers go up, the lives of these heroes are mere entertainment. As they climb the tower, the content evolves: tactics, strategy, PvP. The system's giant cybernetic eye watches coldly, hungry for more thrilling bloodshed in games. Ding! With a heart-pounding chime, golden light explodes into the room. Jenna covers her mouth in excitement. Eren holds his breath. A rare hero. The light fades, revealing two figures. Roderick, a furious veteran warrior, and Ialka, a terrified red-haired girl. Confusion and hostility collide in the silence. But the entrance is less than graceful. Ialka trips and faceplants hard onto the stone floor. Han freezes, baffled by the sheer awkwardness of the moment. Unnoble, Ida scoffs, recognizing the type immediately. Ialka burns with shame, refusing to lift her head from the dirt, her pride shattered by a single fall. In contrast, Roderick shows true professionalism. He scans the facility, grasping the cruel rules of master and synthesis in seconds. A true veteran. Though he feels the hypnosis of forced loyalty, Roderick tries to resist. Han cuts him off coldly. You're here now. Follow the rules. We draw lots to decide who takes whom. Simple rules. Red for Edith, blue for Han. Looking at the seasoned veteran versus the crying noble brat, everyone has their preference. Jenna brings the lot box. Han's dynamic vision kicks into overdrive, piercing the darkness of the box. In that split second, he sees that red is on the right. He doesn't need luck. He takes absolute control. Left. With a sonic boom, Han's hand strikes like lightning. This isn't a draw. It's a calculated snatch. Edith doesn't even have time to react. The moment he grabs it, Fire erupts. The seemingly fragile noble girl unleashes a shocking burst of flame magic. Han's pupils contract. It seems he's picked up a thorny problem. A rough hand shatters the silence, clamping down on an arm. The orange-haired girl's confident smile freezes. She faces not just physical restraint, but cold eyes that see right through her stats as a level 1 fire mage. Mages are rare units. The air crackles with tension as blades grind against each other. In this cruel game, rarity from paid summons is the only shield, and she is the chip that tips the balance. Unease spreads through the solemn hall. Ialka bites her lip, the shame of being assessed like merchandise exploding into angry shouts. This is fraud! Separate gacha pools? But only the cold logic of luck answers her. It's simple. It's been decided for us. Roderick, the veteran warrior, stands eerily calm. Unlike the panicking Ialka, he realizes the truth. Here, they have no right to choose sides, only a destiny of being controlled. Think about what they plan to do with us. Roderick's words hit like a hammer. Ialka sinks into a suffocating silence, the immense psychological pressure leaving her unable to breathe, letting out only a pained groan. Suddenly, a powerful hand yanks a body from the abyss. Life and death hang by a thread. There is no gentle comfort, only the desperate, rough grasp of the last straw for survival. Then, it is decided. Han Seojen's voice is devoid of emotion, like a verdict. The system pop-up blinks coldly with accept, and despite Ialka's sweating resistance, she is forcibly drafted into this man's team. Desperate screams tear through the plaza as assignments finalize. Mr. Han! Didn't you say we could live if we tried? The accusations of the abandoned echo, while Ialka is dragged away in the chaos, fear consuming her sanity. Light flashes, synthesis, complete. Living people turn into EXP. Han ruthlessly points at the glow, forcing Ialka to stare into this hell. Those who can't learn support skills meet this end. Watch closely. Under the threat of death, Ialka is forced to level up. The golden light signifies not glory, but survival. In the corner, the useless are berated and herded away. There is no escape, only strength or erasure. How brutal! Roderick is shaken as he witnesses the consumption of his peers. Rain lashes against the ancient ruins, but Han simply stares coldly at the opening gate, deaf to the screams behind him. Next. The space-time rift roars open within the vine-covered arch, blue light blinding. Han grips his weapon, his gaze sharpening. Time to test the newbie's mettle. This is their first real battle, a trial of life and death. Stepping into the eerie forest, the atmosphere shifts. Even in danger, Ialka clings to her aristocratic arrogance, crossing her arms and looking provocatively at Han. Hey, mage over there, what magic can you use? Don't want to fight? Han's retort cuts like a blade. Ialka's mental defenses crumble instantly. She clutches her chest, screaming hysterically. Fighting in a strange place for no reason. How can I accept this? Han offers no mercy, his blue eyes emitting a chilling light born from countless kills. If you don't fight, you'll end up consumed like the others. He steps closer, his voice low and dangerous. Answer me. What magic can you use?